Social innovation is a modern term that is used since about 20 years, and it's used by people who want to stress the fact that technology, modernity, progress is a concept that does not work as we thought it would. We have found out that with all these notions of progress, of the 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, we ended up with more problems than we originally had. Technology solved some problems just to create new problems. So term social innovation means that sometimes you have to change social patterns in order to achieve progress, and not just expect miracles from technology. So it's not just technology alone that can help us to think better. It is not just technology that helps us to live better, to stay more healthy. It is also the relations between people. The fact that traditional institutions sometimes are not able anymore to cope with the complexity of modern life. They are not built or not strong enough anymore to support the structures that we want. So we need to mobilize social potential. We need to mobilize the hidden energy that is within our social relations. And social innovation means we have to change those relations. We have to introduce new patterns of decision making, new patterns of communication, new patterns of also roles, processes. We need new professions. We need new institutions, if you like. So social innovation is about the fact that we can enrich our life by looking at the patterns we have in our social relations and handling them like an engineer also would handle the development of a technology. But social innovation is not something that an engineer can do. It has to be done together with people. So people must be conscious about their process, about their daily life, and seeking to improve it by changing sometimes the nature of the game. And that's, if it's successful, they can create a social innovation in many fields. Take, for example, the fact that old people are left alone in the nursing home. They feel retired, they feel not useful. Now imagine that a class of school children decides to take responsibility for a group of old people. In this case, there could be a social innovation. The generations could meet in new ways. There could be new relations between old and new people. Or the other way around, old people could transfer their knowledge, their skills to young people. So previously there was a school and people learned in school, but maybe there are new opportunities for learning. So social innovation tries to arrange people's relation in a way that the hidden potential to solve problems and to improve our lives, they come out and can really work.
Thank you. And what could be the best way how to spread this information between people? how do you want to
I think
inform them?
I think we all learn from successful examples, and we all learn from what we hear and see in the media. So ways to spread this information is if we intentionally create an education about successful examples, even also about failures that happen worldwide. So I welcome the idea of a center for social innovation in a given region, if it is really able to do this and not just as another bureaucratic institution. It should really be a learning place where you have constantly new ideas flowing into a region, where you constantly have examples to be looked at, to be reflected, and unusual combinations of people brought together. A center for social innovation that is run by 5 specialists is useless. A center for social innovation must be like a big learning center. So, so I think it's a mixture between adult education and maybe also experimental ground. A center for social innovation that stays a pure theory and information center will not be able to create meaningful information. It has to be tried out, it has to be experimented with, it has to be felt. So the way to spread it, have people feel it. Maybe also arrange study visits, bring young people abroad, bring them together. So I think there are many forms this information can be spread, and we see a lot of evidence that social innovation is always like the forces of resistance of a body that gets sick. They have their own ways of mobilizing energies that previously were not here.
I don't have any question at this moment. Is there something what you would like to mention about this topic?
I think I said it in regard to what we all together aim. I'm looking forward to be part of that. I'm looking forward to this is a personal joy for me to build up centers for social innovation. And to be able to learn myself from these experiences.
So are there, you've talked so theoretical, are there specific models or examples that you can describe? And then also the question is, we're dealing with billions of people on this planet, and how do you expect to upscale these from small communities to large-scale cities or large-scale societies, you know? So is this more just a theoretical concept, or can this actually be something that could spread throughout our masses?
Well, very good question. I think we have to become aware of that the solution of our manifold problems globally is less and less possible on a large scale. It's more the agglomerated scale of small efforts. That's my belief. And I believe that people should be encouraged to act locally and to create solutions locally which would not lead to this enormous agglomeration of projects on a mass level. If we can break down a city into neighborhoods, and we have neighborhood centers. Neighborhood centers are like the early warning centers if there is problems with young people taking drugs and so on. If we can develop, for example, like we just saw, a place where they find some empathy, where they find just someone to talk to, we might end up with not having as many drug addicts or alcohol addicts. So I think social innovation equals to solutions on a human scale, on a scale that is manageable for people in how should I say, in human dimensions. And it resonates with the idea of solving problems locally at the village scale, at the region scale, at highest, and try to get support from a political system that understands that people increasingly want to shape their world. I think we are in a period which is like a Copernican shift. We're in a period where human beings have become fully aware of their potential. In a period where we want really to become something special, something original. And for example, economy now is not the delivery to a mass consumer. Economy is the support of conscious people with whatever they want to create out of their life. So we have this phrase of support economy, an economy that enables you to do things that you could never do before. And I think this is a trend that also influences other parts of society. We have become more powerful, we have become more informed. The computer have brought a lot of knowledge to us. We have become more competent. Although the mass media just press in the opposite direction and they try to soothe us like a drug, we have never been so much aware of what's going on this planet. And out of this situation, I think results a very interesting chance. Mobilize the creative power of the individuals and teach the individuals that they can only realize their individuality through society, so through a social process. We even sometimes think, previously we talked about self-realization in the 60s. And today we try to avoid that term. We say self-unfolding, because you unfold yourself only if you have other people that resonate with you. So the self unfolds in community. And I think this is very much the structure of the society we're going to. We'll have people which are much more willing to think how they want to shape their life, and they're at the same time individuals. We have a lot of individualism, but the individual understands it's absolutely helpless as an individual. The money, the political power, all these traditional means of individualism as we know it, they don't work anymore. Yeah? We had this traditional idea that individualism is egotism. But now we understand suddenly, no, individualism is like the lifeblood of community building. Because people enjoy complementing each other, they enjoy diversity, they enjoy doing something together. And they have more means than ever before to do something together. Now the technology brings 3D printers to your home. And suddenly you are able to do things that previously only a factory could do. But that makes only sense if you don't do it for yourself, but if you try to find a meaningful scale in which a few people can add their knowledge and their specialties. So I think it's a great time for community building around this new empowerment.
Do you feel like this is really a mass feeling or need, or do you feel like this is still like in the 70s and in the 60s and whatever, a small minority of individuals that are hoping and wishing for this?
Exactly what you say. I feel it's a minority, but it's not as small as before. The 60s and 70s have deeply affected our values, and the new generation sometimes has inhaled these values unconsciously. I would say we have a minority of maybe 20 to 30% that today feels that things are fundamentally flawed, and this is the active minority that seeks to innovate, that seeks social innovation. And we call them cultural creatives. The sociologist who discovered them or who coined the term is Paul Ray. He's an American, and he said, these are people who don't neither have the newspapers, they don't have the television station, they don't have the institutions that would support their aspirations. And now we see that this minority suddenly manifests in society. They manifest in many, many projects, and they start having their own magazines, they start having their own television programs, and so on and so on. And I think they have new ways of healing, of eating, socializing, and things like that. Very conscious of their health, very conscious of the effects of their actions on the environment. All these things, they form like a coherent pattern. And this minority is the most active, and I think one could really put it in terms of Marx. They represent the new productive forces. It's not anymore the working class. The working class is replaced by machines. It's more, one could say, the creative class. And the creative class has different needs. The creative class wants an environment that is fulfilling, and they want the ability to realize, to put things into reality. And I think that the art will be that the creative class sets structures and order parameters, so to say, that the rest of the population embraces. If we can develop course of social healing that other people are aware of, wow, that's really not bad, that's really good idea. Then we probably will manage the social crisis, which is obviously now for everybody. The old institutions don't work anymore, and they produce just more and more dangerous illusions. We have an economy that just eats up money and that just simulates success, because we have become by far too productive to play the old game of scarcity. But they are just working in scarcity conditions, so they create the scarcity, and many people nowadays around the world are feeling that economy is not something which provides good for people. It's the institution that makes people poorer, and everything has to be sacrificed for. Imagine this. 20 years ago, somebody would have to sacrifice your rent for the bank. Everybody would say, "Are you crazy?" Today, the politicians say that you have to sacrifice your good life for the financial institutions. So there is something fundamentally wrong, and most people know it now. That cannot go on like that, and there is no way in future. We're just playing a game of simulation, and if we save the banks, we will just save them to see the same situation in 5 years again. So, but nobody knows where to go to, except those cultural creatives that now start to create these notes of a much more self-reliant, much more autonomous society.
So that's the next question. So what are the key ingredients to social innovation? What are the key components to a successful? So if you look at different projects, is there ways that you can tease out some of the key phases or the key components or the key ingredients to successful social innovations?
Yeah. I think there are several key components. The first component is that there are individuals who are daring enough to stand for their innovation. I think social innovation roots in individuals. So if you have a culture of encouraging and respecting such individuals, that helps a lot. Give them a place where they can prove their potential. This is half of the work is done. Next thing is make everybody aware that they're all building their world together. So there is nobody who has the complete answer. In the Indian medicine wheel, we pass the talking stick by understanding that each individual can teach us. Everybody has a perspective that is valuable for the whole. So one key factor of social innovations to happen is this climate of respect. And of course, another key is you cannot run social innovations in a large scale. You have almost to experiment with them, like in a laboratory. So there must be these places, there must be these facilities that allow us to make mistakes. Only if we make mistakes, if we are allowed to make mistakes, we can also create something new. We are not born with the knowledge how the world will look in the 21st century. That is exciting, you know.